So while I was a kid, more or less, uh, I was thinking about two of my names when I was a kid. One of them being Di and one of them being Obadiah. Those are two of them. But I started a company, McDonald's, thinking Di and Obadiah. It was like my die thought process. So it was like a D and an O that I was working with for Di and Obadiah. And I thought on some consideration of naming it Di and Obadiah was like all I really thought about while I was building that building that day, because they let me do brickwork as a kid a lot of the time. But I decided to start a restaurant and came up with a menu and everything. And I was kind of thinking, like, on some level, I have gotten into a lot of fast food on corporate through the years based on like having started out when I was a kid. But I was just kind of thinking, I put an N or a Z shaped one in there because that was like the end of what I thought on my name for it. But then that was being all D based consideration because Obadiah and Di more or less were the two D names I have. I kind of decided more or less to just kind of go with Di Obadiah for the thought process that day on what I included and what I was thinking on building it. But I kind of go by Donna sometimes because of it, and I more or less don't really always go by Dawn or Donna thinking it, but it's complexly like based on the two names of Di and Obadiah that I do go by Donna as it is. But I don't know, the company name more or less for the restaurant's McDonald's based on it. I was kind of thinking more or less like, on some level at the beginning of the year we put forth January 1st that we weren't going to be more or less completely doing all the credit orientations anymore. And it's all like security in the framework of God and presidential orientation globally was more or less not going to be involving anyone in credit one way or the other. And it's almost like we've been trying to do that all divisionally all the way from January 1st. But it just isn't like, as far as what I'm looking at around at least this area or this zone, is anything that's going on one way or the other, as far as like what just keeps piling in like more and more and more, like no one's really interested in it one way or the other or something like that. It's kind of bizarre to me, or odd or complex to, on some level, like the owner of like McDonald's and Taco Bell and Speedway and myself, and then go into them and like all year long myself, owner of them and everything, basically the main boss on the whole process of everything going on any of them. Yeah, I can't really seem to get them to one way or the other like take the prices off and not involve the credit, do the machine transformations, because these stores are equipped with machine transformational orientations that would, if I disclude the processes of credit and everything, like along security lines and that kind of consideration for like what credit machines or ATMs or credit union type of equipment or like technology would have like any inclusion of like credit cards or anything, or accounting based tallies and system dynamic one way. It's almost like most of them nowadays are equipped with transformational orientation, so they cannot do away with a given process and do 100% a mu base or transformational base or transitional coordination or transfer basis of some kind. It's almost like there would be like one button or one sentence spoken on a programming basis on a corner somewhere, and then like it would go through to 20 mainframes, and throughout like I guess that half of the country there would not be anything functioning on that level without a mu basis or transformation. But it's like there's more complexity, like me typing it on mainframe basis, like on a all creational sprint level at all times. So I'm putting the information in there, I'm putting in the work orders, I'm putting in the boss's information for the workers at the stores, say it's Kroger, say it's Speedway, say it's McDonald's, say it's Taco Bell, say it's Walmart or anything. Walmart's owned by Kroger at this time as it is anyway, based on how I have my corporate orientation going as things are. But it's like I try to put in like the information that they would follow through with, basically how they do things around the stores, how they do things in the productions and the factorial conditions. And it's like factory more or less doesn't really have around all that much to some degree, that they are more or less producing the products, producing the goods, preparing the meal items, preparing the material coordinations that go into production, everything. It's almost like the materials and the work is like not really around it all that much, but kind of getting everyone to like agree on some level that we wouldn't be involved in credit has bizarrely been like, I don't really know, but I guess the cultists seem to pick on someone until they try to get them to kind of wear down and like kind of not really, but just kind of think they would have to or something. It's kind of been that way this last year or so as far as factory work goes. I'm not really all that interested in that kind of thing being around the factory work, and then largely like in the stores, it's just like I'm not really all that sure. It doesn't seem like that much more complexly system based what we're even looking at the store considerations one way or the other for like I don't really know what it is about it, but it's like basically on some level BNI I own all these stores on the corporate level one way or the other, and that the store is there one way or the other, in that there is for some reason what would be like an amount that's being charged for a product on the shelf. It's kind of altogether my intent more or less that as of January 1st they wouldn't be an amount of charge for those products one way or the other. So I'm like running around doing all creational sprints. I'm in the store, I'm out of the store at a rate of rapid productivity, at a rate of rapid like frequential orientation, and I don't know that I don't just strip the tags off of absolutely every store I can, absolutely as fast as I can, absolutely at rate as fast as I can, and then they're just on there one more time or something. Like they have a machine or something, they just kind of jet load them back on the shelf or something. Like they even are doing it backwards instead of what security on all divisional levels trying to do all year from January 1st on. And I'm not really all that like completely trying to figure out on some level, I guess, what machine it is sometimes that does it. It's a little bit more complex for me trying to get a feel for what it is, to some consideration of what machine it is that is putting them on there each time. But it's a little bit more odd to me on some level as far as like workers that are around in the store that maintain trying to keep the store going on some level one way or the other, to always be in there. And then like I guess a Satanism based machine like from Biosat that does that kind of thing basically would be the one that we're trying to get rid of, the way that God's side of everything does everything as far as work and labor goes one way or the other anyway. But I guess to some extent, like the workers that are in there, like it's a little bizarre on some level trying to consider like communicating with one of them to more or less do one thing or the other. I kind of think on some level, like going that fast trying to do it myself as it is, that it almost seems a little bit more like I do kind of try to get them to do things around all the time, based on the fact that I'm sprinting through there all day long when we're the other running the thing. Literally, like, don't really know on some level, like, neo-creational processes or like followed through on unless I'm there doing it myself on some format of things. There's some consideration of like stock and product that's like in the storage and things that more or less kind of seems like more or less at least how things are run, and they can run that way and they sometimes do run that way, but more or less most of the time I'm pretty all about neo-creational type of considerations as far as what does affect utilize, like that you get a product or a meal or anything or their services. I'm doubted to more or less neo process that God instills in what's going on one way or the other as it is. So it's kind of more like on some level, basically, I basically am in and out of basically all the stores that I more or less own. They have my name on them. They have basically the kind of process that I had going as far as putting it forward in corporate that it would be started like that. And like, I don't know, I guess for example, more or less, like one of my names is Bell. I guess if I go from Obediah over there, and then I guess one of my other names is Bell over here, and I kind of like don't really even say that. I don't know. We had stopped by over Speedway. I guess I kind of put my name on some of them. These things are. There are some of the larger ones like Co-Etiquette and REAs and Machine and Macintosh and Dell and other computer companies. Some of the larger ones, basically, like on some level, don't usually through the course of history like have that much going on as far as credit goes as it is, based upon the type of employee programs that are involved on like creational level of togetherness with God on some level, that they are in fact taken care of on some level, that it's literally so kind of like